Okay, as work orders are really the basis for protected flow manufacturing and establishing priorities and improving flow, we're going to take a look at 4 different ways we can create work orders in PFM. So I'm going to go to Action and go right over to Work Orders. Okay, this is going to bring up the work order workstation for me. And here I've got several work orders. In fact, I have 83 work orders already in the system. If I wanted to select a work order, so this top one, for example, this is what I'm going to use as an example, this layout or this template. So here's a work order with 5 operation steps. I do some cutting, so I take a raw material, in this case some stainless steel of a particular diameter. I cut it. I send the cut pieces over to the CNC machine. We send those out to Harry's for heat treating. When they come back, we inspect them, and assuming they're all good, we pack and ship them, send them out to the client. Okay, so we get 5 pretty simple steps on that work order. Now, if I have an existing work order like I do here, I can create another work order from it. And I very simply come up and click on duplicate, and I can say duplicate the selected work order. So that simply means the work order I have selected here that's showing in the in this top panel. So I say, let's duplicate that. So it's going to create a new work order for me now. And all I need to do is everything about that work order was copied over. The end quantity was copied over. The due date, all the materials, the run times embedded in it, all of it was copied over. So really, if everything was exactly the same, I could just hit save. Now, I probably do want to update the status on this. Maybe I'm going to put it in planning or release this job. Maybe I want to update the due date. So yeah, let's push that out into the future a little bit, 25th. And from there, I'm ready to go, and I hit save. And now I have a new work order. Okay, and I let the system assign the work order number for me, and this is work order number 75, and that I just created. Okay, so it's really that simple. Either during that save or right now, if I want to adjust the quantity that's being produced, so I hover over that, you can see I'm making a bowl tub. I'm making 40 of them in parentheses. Okay, so I can see that by hovering over, clicking on this last item. If I want to go change that quantity, I have to make sure that I have the last operation highlighted, and then go down to the material quantity. And this is going to show me of my end item. It's saying I'm making 40. Maybe I want to make 80 this time, and hit save. And now the end quantity is 80. If I scroll back up or click on engineering to go back to the top, and I hover over that, you can see now that's changed to 80. Okay. All right, and since it's a much longer build cycle, you notice that it went from yellow to red. But we can cover that topic some other time. Let's talk about the second way to create a new work order. So before, what I did was I said, let's duplicate selected. This time, you can copy from an engineering model. Now, an engineering model is like a template. So in fact, in engineering, if I go to this workstation, and I'll bring that up just to show you where my template lives, I created a template that looks an awful lot like that work order, maybe something that's that I do repeatedly. And I called it something around SolidCam. Here it is, my template project for SolidCam customer. And when I select on that and bring it up, here's my model. And of course, it looks just like those steps that I had before. Okay, here's cutting, CNC milled. Actually, this is going to this is a little different. Actually, this is going to galvanizing, then inspect, and then packaging. Okay, so this is my template. So when I'm back in work orders, and I want to create a work order from an engineering model, I just select this, and now my list of engineering models comes up, and I can search on them. I can scroll down and look for it, or I could search on it. So show me anything that has word CAM somewhere in it, and it comes up with those. Actually, quite a few have the word CAM or their CAM in it. Here's my template right here, template for the solid CAM customer, and I'm going to click on OK, and now it's going to bring all those steps in. See, those are just like I saw in my model, and now this is a work order. I haven't saved it yet. The save button is blue, indicating that the changes have been made, and I would need to hit the save button to save those. So I'm going to go down to my last item here is highlighted. You can see it's just a quantity of 1 right now. So I'm going to go down to my material quantity. I'm going to change that to, let's say we're going to make 10 of these. And also I may want to adjust, since this is just a template, I may want to adjust what the part item is being made. So right here, this is just showing my end item is simply, it's not even a part number, it's just a template. So I could leave it like this, or I could just say, give it a name if I don't want to give it a template. And this is Mark's part for an aerospace customer. Okay. Or if I had a part number and I wanted to assign a part number to it, I could do that right here with the binoculars, or by coming in here and hitting question mark, and that's going to bring up part numbers I could select as well, or start typing it in. Okay. So now come back up to the top, and here again, I probably want to give this a certain status, okay, either in planning, probably a release status, and I do want to assign a due date to it. So let's say this is going to be due on the 29th. Here again, I hit save, and now I've created this work order with the due date, with the quantity, all the operation run times came over from the model as well. So if you can see, I use my little cheat sheet down here in the lower right to see where I am highlighted. So this last operation, packing, has 1 hour of setup, and I can pack 2 units per hour. Inspection, I can do 10 minutes per unit with no setup time, and so on and so forth. Okay. So you can see what run times came over as well. Again, all that information came over from the model, so very simple. So 2 ways so far. We've shown you creating a work order by copying an existing work order, or creating a new work order from an engineering model. How about if we wanted to create one just plain from scratch, just from starting from scratch? Well, we can certainly do that, and you can do that by hitting the create button. And now it gives me a blank slate. Say, what is it? What would you like to do here? Well, let me add a few operations. Okay, so I'm going to add, say, 3 or 4 operations. Okay, and you can do this in any sequence. You can add one at a time and then go fill out the information. But here again, I may want to designate what it is I'm making, how many I'm making. So if I go down to the header here, I could give it a name. This is a work order from Mark's work order, and give it a due date. So this will give it the 30th, and give this a status, say released. And now I scroll down here. I haven't defined any of the resources on the operations yet, so that's something I could certainly do. And here again, I have my handy cheat sheet down here in the lower right to show me where I am. So I could either start at the end or start at the beginning, really doesn't matter. So I've highlighted this first operation. Let's say we do some cutting here. Okay, so I start typing cut, and then I can select that there. Click on the next operation, and now we're going to go into CNC. So we can grab a particular machine, CNC milling 2, and you can see it changing in the graphic there. Hit this one right here. Let's say that's going to go outside right now. So we click on this is an outside service, and now you notice the fields change, prompting me. So this is going to go out to heat treating. And if I had it default, actually I do have it defaulted, so when I hit select heat treat, it knows it's going out to Harry's. If it were going out to another heat treat provider, I can select that here. Okay. And then finally, maybe it comes in, maybe we do an inspection, put it into inventory, maybe we inspect and ship, or just ship, what have you. So I'll just say we're going to do an inspection, and then we're finished. Okay. And that's really all we need to do with the operations. I can hit save here, and whoops, thought I didn't give it the name of. So that's actually a good lesson. So I want to go down to the material for that end item. See, I didn't give it a name or a part number. So this was, I gave it a name up at the top level. So the end item name is, call this Mark's finished part. Okay, now I can hit save, and that will save for me. Okay, so here I have a work order. If I want to go ahead and add a raw material, let's say we're certainly going to need some raw material before we do the cutting. So I would come in here and say we're going to add a raw material. And here again, I've got this highlighted. When I go to the material list for that operation, you'll actually see there are two materials. One references the out material, meaning the production material going from this operation to that operation. And then the other, that raw material, that one right here. So here again, I can put in a part number here. Let's give this a B14, some flat stock, and put in a quantity per. I can leave it at 1, hit save, and now I've got a raw material requirement on that as well. Okay. And so I've created my work order from scratch. Fairly quick. Now the last, there's actually another method, like importing items, you can also import work orders. So let's take a look at what that would look like. So here I've got a spreadsheet actually with a work order that looks very similar to the ones that we've been kind of looking at. This is the work order header. So you'll notice I've got a workbook, and the workbook actually has 3 tabs on it, and each of the tabs are named appropriately. The simple work order, simple operation, and simple material. Okay, this is a simple single level work order. It could be multiple work orders that I have listed here. In this case, I'm just going to import one. So I've got an order number. I've got the name of what it is I'm going to be making. I've got a due date. I've got a quantity and the work order status. When I go to the operation list, okay, this is going to reference the same work order number. Of course, that has to be the same as was in the work order tab, and that is. And then the operations that this work order needs to go through. So I need the operation number, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 in this case. Here's a description of what the operation is. Here's the resource name. These need to be defined already in the PFM database. And now I'm specifying the run times, any setup times. And this middle one right here, this is the heat treating. And here I don't specify an internal resource. Instead, I specify an outside service name, and optionally, if I know it, the supplier name. And again, these two both have to be defined already in PFM as well. If I do have an outside service here, then is service is true versus the others which are false. And I'm then specifying how many days it's going to be out for at Harry's. Okay? So these are the operations detail that I'm going to import. And the simple material is very simply, that's that raw material I'm going to tie into the first operation, or operation 10. So again, the order number, of course, has to reference an order number that exists here. In this case, it's the only one. And it also has to reference an operation number that it's tied to. In this case, it's tied to this particular operation at the cutting operation. Okay. And very simply, this is saying I need, for every one of these end items, I need 3 of these parts. So I've got a quantity per of 3 inches. Okay. So I've saved this already as a file, and now if I come back into PFM, and I think I have, I'm not sure if I have import open. Let's just go ahead and open it here. Open up the import workstation. Oh, that's engineering. There's import. and I select Browse to grab the file I wish to import, and it's this one right here. And now you can see here's my file, and I click on Import, Begin Import to check the mapping. Okay. Now this has 3 worksheets, if you remember. So the first worksheet was simple work order, picks that up, puts the name here, and shows me the 5 fields that I'd specified, and automatically does the mapping for me because I made them the same. And now if I click on simple operation, it's showing that second worksheet and showing me all the fields there. And those look good as well. And then I come into simple material, and now I see all the fields there. Oops, here's what an error looks like, actually. So this is showing me, oh, Mark, you called it UOM in your spreadsheet, but there's no such field. So could you please pick it? So you can actually override that here without having to go start over with the spreadsheet. And I'm going to do that. And I believe the field name is called, let's see, I think it's usage, unit of measure. Let me see here. Per fixed quantity. Nope, you can't. You're not going to specify that in simple work order. So I'm going to ignore that field. How about that? And so now otherwise everything looks good. And I'm going to click on import. But first, just to show you there's nothing up my sleeve, I am importing. Okay, we are importing a work order named S-cam-1000MJL. Okay, that's the work order number. And when I come back to show you work orders, and I search for SCAM, I do have a couple work orders that start with SCAM, but nothing that's 1000-MJL. Okay, so if everything goes right, we're going to see one more work order here named that. All right, so let's go to back to import, and I'm ready to do the import. So click on import, and you can see it's happening very quickly. You see a message over here, save in progress. It's all finished, so it looks like it went through without any errors. I can double check by clicking on my event log, and sure enough, here again, we have the background tasks were complete and stop the import run. So that's what you want to see. That looks really good. So now if we come back to work orders, and I'm going to just do a refresh here, and searching on the SCAM still, there it is. There's the work order I just imported. So this information, what we're seeing right here, all just came from that spreadsheet. It knows the end item that I'm making 20. It knows the operations. It knows all the steps. It knows this is going out to Harry's for 3 days. It knows the raw material, all from that spreadsheet. And here's the due date that I established and the status. So all that came in through the spreadsheet very easily. I have a new work order. So in summary, that was actually 4 different ways that you can create a work order in PFM. So we looked at creating one from an existing work order. We looked at creating a work order from a model or a template. We looked at creating one from scratch. And finally, we looked at using the import utility to bring a work order in and create a new work order from a spreadsheet.